All right, we're back. Let's go to Ann in the home of the Pirates, Pittsburgh. What's up, Ann?
Hi, Dr. Delony.
How are you?
Good. A little nervous, but I'll get to my question that I left for your show.
Ann, I'm not very good at this. You have nothing to be nervous about. Nothing. Zero things.
Have to be. Yeah, I know. It's just I don't like my voice on tape.
It sounds great.
I don't know.
It sounds great.
Okay. All right. My question was about the gaslighting versus someone's story, like what the difference is, because I've heard that term thrown around a lot, especially in my house in the last year or so. And then I also heard between your show and your book and a class I had at work recently, they talked about your people's stories and the stories you tell yourself. And I just wanted the explanation of the differences and then how I can deal with, conversations around that.
Let's instead of making this very academic and giving definitions, what's the actual challenge you're facing? Are people accusing you of gaslighting them, or are people gaslighting you? And what are you actually facing?
Well, my kids have said, like my husband and I, have gaslit them, and it.
Give me an example really, of a way they say you're gaslighting them or gaslit them.
Like saying like with their childhood and how they perceive it versus.
But give me an example. Give me an example.
Let me think.
Here's
a hard time here.
Here's a couple of
because it's like an overwhelming layer of heaviness over.
Sure.
There's a few of us have ADHD. I know I was diagnosed. I strongly believe my husband is too, and
me too. So
the emotional dysregulation that had happened in the house apparently was causing stress. And when you walk around like you're walking on eggshells and waiting for somebody to explode.
Yep.
So that was, I guess, the what the kids lived with.
Okay.
And yesterday I asked my daughter about, I had pictures of us on a bike ride, or we were talking about a bike ride that we took that was like, it ended up being this huge long bike ride on this really nice trail. And I'm like, oh, do you remember that? And she goes, well, if Dad was there, I blacked it out. And I'm just crushed by that.
Yeah. So here's some what I would call low-level gaslighting that parents do to their kids. Hey, Mom, that hurt. No, it didn't. Shut your mouth and sit down. Hey, Mom, I'm really hungry. No, you're not. Shut your mouth and sit down. You're just doing that. I got to go to the bathroom. You're just doing that because right? So that can be a low-level gaslighting. Or, hey, Mom, last night you yelled at me and it scared me. I didn't yell at you. You're just hearing things again. You're always making up stories about me. Or, hey, Mom, it was really scary when I didn't do that. Gaslighting is about power. It's about control. And it's using disorientation or self-doubt or dishonesty as your tool. Some people gain control by just yelling. I've got bigger muscles than you. I'm bigger than you. Some people gain power, especially in a household, and we call it the one down position. Like, okay, I guess I just won't eat then. If everybody needs 3 pieces of pizza, I'm fine. I probably need to lose 5 pounds anyway. That's a way to gain control. Another way to gain control is by gaslighting. Making everybody.
Is that passive aggressive versus gaslighting? That okay, I'm not going to eat now. I can lose 5 pounds.
It's the definition doesn't matter as much as it's just a way to try to take back control of a room that you feel you've lost control of. Sometimes dads scream and yell. Sometimes moms scream and yell and slam cabinets. That is a body that's dysregulated, and it just becomes over emotive. I need to regain power. Some get real. Dads are the worst. My wife calls it Sunday afternoon dad. When you can feel the atomic energy pulsing out of me, and I'm just sitting there on the couch, and my kid will say, "Hey, Dad," and I'll go, "What?" But I don't yell. I'm quiet. And then the kids know, whoa, just don't go around Dad. And then they're like, "Man, you're hard to be around on Sundays." And I'm like, "I didn't say anything. I just sat here." I'm being violent with my silence, right? Or mom's like around the Thanksgiving table. "Well, I guess I didn't cook it right, so next year I guess we'll just go out because and that's a way to go, "No, Mom, you did a great job. You're so good." Right? It's a way to regain control. Gaslighting is a way to gain control is everybody's off kilter. Everybody is questioning their own experience of reality because somebody who's smarter than them or bigger than them or has more control or autonomy is telling them that their lived experience is wrong. And so if your children grew up with two parents with ADHD and y'all were all over the place and scattered. By the way, my kid is growing up with a dad with rampant ADHD. It's a context. It's not an excuse. I still got to work to be on time.
Right.
I still got, right? But my kid's growing up with that. And so I've got to be cognizant of what he's going to experience downstream. And so here's my bigger question. Why are you debating your kids on their stories, on their lived experiences? Why do you feel the need to say, "Hey, you're remembering this wrong," instead of saying, "I'm so sorry"?
No, I don't. I don't argue actually with them.
Okay.
It's just that term has come up.
Okay.
And my daughter, my youngest one, will. She has openly admitted that she'll make up things to try to hurt me.
Okay.
Because of the fact that she thought my husband and I should get divorced, and we didn't. We chose to work out a lot of the issues.
Why do you give your daughter a vote?
Probably because she's threatened suicide in the past.
That's even less. That's even less of a reason to give her a vote. My kids do not have a vote into my emotional regulation. They don't have my permission to hurt my feelings. Now, it doesn't always work like that. My body will react.
Yeah.
Right.
The last conversation or attack that we had, I stayed like uber calm. Like I thought, who are you? And not that I'm not the one who loses the cool and gets super, super crazy, but I just was able to step back and just listen to what she was saying. And I was like, well, okay. And, sorry, you're hurting right now. And then I took myself and I said, I can't talk to you when you're like this. And we agreed that if we wanted to have conversations about any of these issues, that we do it in front of a therapist.
Great.
But when she doesn't get her way, it's like full blown attack. And then I just have to.
But you how old is she?
Kind of endure it. 18.
18. So I would sit down with my child who's 18 and say, I have some boundaries. And I don't allow adults, I don't allow kids to call me when they're struggling and use me to throw grenades at as a target so that they can feel better about themselves. I don't allow that. I don't allow my boss to call and yell at me so he or she feels better about themselves. I don't allow my friends or family or strangers to use me as a verbal punching bag so they feel better about themselves. And most certainly, I'm not going to let my child, who has admitted to me, whenever I get down, I just lie about you because I can twist a knife in your back or in your front. I don't care. I don't allow that. So from this point forward, when you call and you're in one of those moods and you're trying to hurt me to make yourself feel better, I'm out of the conversation. I'm just opting out. I love you too much for that, and I have too much dignity and self-respect for that. And just put a period at the end.
Right. And when you said about the boundary, that's actually what the conversation was about. She wanted to watch a movie in her room, and using my Amazon account, she wanted me to give her the password to my Amazon account. And I said, yeah, and that's not a boundary. I'm comfortable sharing. I said, I've got it on, I'll put it on your TV but she couldn't find the remote, she said. And I said, and it's on the TV out here, so you could watch out here. But she lost it. And, my struggle is I'm trying to get, make sure she graduates high school, because it didn't happen last year. And because of
did what you did last year work?
Well, she's still alive, and she re-enrolled in school. So I'm not sure.
Okay.
Because things were changed. Because last year I was separated from my husband,
Okay.
and we were living in two places, seeing each other. But that didn't seem to make it better for her, us being separated. I thought maybe she would be able to get that breath of not being around the powder keg. But it didn't happen. And I was able to catch my breath and then look back and help, fix my part of the relationship, or at least make steps towards fixing it.
Great.
And
is he becoming a safer place for your daughter to be around? Because you just referred to it as a powder keg. If I'm a 17-year-old girl, I'm out. I can't. It's too dysregulated. I can't be around that.
He is much better, but they neither one of the two acknowledge any growth, and because they still have a lot of trauma from the childhood. And the problem was I worked second shift, so they were home with him, and I wasn't there to mediate. Like, apparently that's the thing I do all my life. So
yeah, you got to stop that. If you have an abusive husband, he's got to be away from the kids. Or here's what they're going to do. They're going to turn into adults who never talk to you all again.
Yeah.
And if he's not safe, good for them for getting out, because you should have got him out a long time ago. And you know that. And you're free to work through it. Great. Wonderful. It sounds like your daughter is in a hyper chaotic environment. Relationally, physiologically, psychologically, it feels chaotic. And my guess is
they also
do what? Go ahead.
There's also the weed factor in there, where they both think that will help with their anxiety and depression. And
so hold on. Whenever a kid who's 18 comes to me and says, I have to do this, my response is not, man, you got to quit. You got to quit drinking. Right? Help. Like, you got to quit smoking weed. My first question is, good Lord, what has happened in your home that is so chaotic that this is the only way you can navigate through it? And they're probably smoking weed right now, Ann, because it works. It's a terrible long-term strategy, but it's better than the alternative, which is it's sitting inside of a ping ball, like sitting inside of I don't know, what do you call it? A bingo ball turner, right? That's the world they live in, so inside of a blender.
Right.
Is that fair?
Yeah, to some degree. It's because there has been change with him. They just won't interact with him. If he walks in the room, my daughter jumps back like he's on fire. And they won't, or they haven't been able to, he's offered to sit with them in therapy, to go to a counselor. He's going to counseling, but I've had her in and out of counseling, but for whatever reason, she'll bail on the people, or we've had struggles trying to connect with providers because of schedule, insurance, all that. And I said, I'll pay out of pocket. And they go, can't. Okay, well, and we'll schedule you in 6 months. And she's seeing somebody at school now, but it's, I don't even know what to do with even the radioactivity from her.
Let me
outside of him.
Yes, it's a part of her now. You can't expect there to be a great summer after she attempts suicide or suicidal ideation. A great summer that 18 years of collective chaos suddenly dissipates. This is years. I know. Okay? So you're going to have to be patient with your child. And I know they have an adult age, 18. But there's a little girl in there that's still protecting herself from her dad because nobody else would or nobody else did. And I don't know what dad did. I don't know if he was yelled and screamed and scared the little girls or if he was abusive. I don't know.
No, he didn't. He didn't abuse them that way.
But their bodies.
It was just that tenseness that you soak up, and
their bodies are telling them not now. And so I would honor that. I would say you have to be respectful in this house. But you don't have to hug him. If you don't want to sit down and have a one-on-one conversation, you don't have to do that right now. He's working on it. And he has to be a grown man and know that he sowed seeds for 18 years, and this is the fruit. And you can't sow seeds of chaos and rage and anger and screaming at your little kids and then get mad when they grow up and have to have alternative ways to try to self-regulate because they didn't learn that at home. And they got no skills. And the two people they were supposed to be anchored in the most were jello, right? There was nowhere to anchor into. And they felt like they were untethered. It's just part of it. You got to be respectful. And you can't make up lies about me. You can't throw grenades at me. I won't be your punching bag. And I have to understand the chickens come home to roost. So they're here. And now we have to ask ourselves, what do we want this to look like in 10 years? Let's begin healing that way. Your kids or your husband can talk the talk and talk the talk. And I'm going to counseling. Those girls will feel safe when their bodies tell them we're safe, which means he's going to have to act differently for a long period of time. He's going to have to act different. He's going to have to provide a safe environment. He's going to have to write those girls a letter and say, I'm sorry. I wasn't who I should have been. And I'm trying to be different now. And my hope is over time, you'll come to love the new me because I'm working really hard at it. But I'm not fighting with my kid over an Amazon account. I'm just going to tell him no. I'm not fighting with my kid over the definitions of gaslight. You're a narcissist. You're a gaslighter. Those are the two most overused internet, social media nonsense descriptors that are actual diagnostics, right? It's just throwing around. I'm not going to do that. You can have your story. And I could be sad that you have bad memories of dad. I can be heartbroken and grieve it. And then I'm going to be on about being the adult and about trying to grow adults. And I'm going to change my relationships moving forward because that's all I can do. Your daughters deserve that, Ann. And you do too.